I'm going down as we always try to be fully transparent, I'm going to ask the county manager to state the reasons that we have the need for that executive session. Mr. Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the County Council. We entered into executive session for the following 9 matters. 4 economic development matters, currently known as Projects Muskogee, Black Sable, Kingfisher, and Star. 3 legal matters pertaining to the 2024 capital project sales tax, Greenwood County Ordinance 13-86, and Ascend Performance Materials. 1 personnel matter in the magistrate's office, and 1 real estate matter pertaining to a potential real estate transaction in the area of Edgefield Street in Uptown Greenwood.
Council, having heard that, I'll entertain a motion, please, that we exit executive session.
Motion to exit.
A motion by Councilwoman Miller, second by the Vice Chairman. All in favor? And we are now out of the executive session. As always, we will begin our meeting tonight with prayer. Councilman 6, Representative Mr. Templeton, I believe you have the invocation tonight, and afterwards we'll honor our nation with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Stand if you can.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day and all the blessings that you bestowed upon us. Be with us in this meeting tonight as we do the business of this county. May it be pleasing in your sight. Be with all of our first responders as they serve the county and protect us. Watch over our men and women overseas who protect us nationally, home and abroad. And again, may everything we do at tonight's meeting be pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Council, I trust that you've had an opportunity to review your minutes of last meeting. If there are no comments, questions, or changes, I'll entertain a motion that we approve those, please.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Allison, second by Ms. Griffin, all in favor, and that is so ordered. Thank you very much. We have a presentation tonight.
Public comment.
I'm sorry, public comment. Thank you, Ms. Susan. That's right. We have three people signed up tonight to participate in public comment. I'm going to call you forward, if you will, please. When you come forward, state your name and address for the record, and tell us what you'd like to talk about. First, please, Ms. Lois Amy.
Hey, I'm Lois Amy. I'm a resident of Nation Road. On your point in on the agenda, the request for rezoning. Right now, when I've learned further information about the purpose of the property, I would like to ask council just to strongly consider and just gather all the information you can. There's rumors on social media, advertisements for a Rivers Ranch Wildlife Park. And it's residents there for years, and having native livestock there is of great concern to us. There's also a proposed RV park, which would bring in, and I know county council is for development and bringing in revenue, but to us, that like the peace and quiet, that alarms us. I just think you really need to dig deep and make sure that whatever request is made, that that's really the intention of that property. I don't want to come back later and be asking for a law enforcement substation up there to help us, control this proposed. So I just want to state that right now, when I saw that, I'd have to oppose that purpose for that property.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Appreciate you being here.
Okay, thank y'all.
And you do realize I live right down the road from you,
Yes,
so that's gonna be my forever home, I would assume also.
Well, that's I'm enjoying raising my grandchildren, you know, and we're a peaceful bunch, you know, and it's just a little bit scary, you know.
We were until I moved in.
Thank you.
Miss Pat Johnson. Miss Pat, come on up if you will. State your name, please, and your address.
Okay, I'm Pat Johnson, I live at 2424 Nation Road, and I'm here to oppose, N on the agenda. This would not help the neighborhood at all. This would only profit the, buyer or potential buyer, and, I don't agree with what she's going to do with it at all.
Thank you, Ms. Pat. Taylor Johnson.
I just want to express my concern as well. I'm the granddaughter of Pat, so, I mean, I've been on that property my whole life, and, you know, we fish on that property, we're down there a lot. We camp on that property, and in that proposal, I saw there was like 200 camper, spots there, for RVs. That's a lot of people, right next to our property. So that means a lot of noise, a lot of traffic. So of course, concerned as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Taylor. Let me say that in regard to this topic, we have had, after this went to planning and zoning, we've had several meetings. I know the county manager had a meeting talking about details of this. For the potential land buyers, what we do know is that they intend to build a home there. And if they have a commercial aspect of this, my belief is that is their homes will be to the neighborhood side. Any commercial, whether it be campsites or whatever, would be to the Highway 25 side. So I do think there will be, if approved, there would be that buffer that would maybe give you more comfort with the plans. So there will be, obviously, this is first reading and title only. There will be a public hearing held on second reading for you all to come back and have an opportunity to speak on this again. So I encourage you to do so, and I assure you that this council will look at every aspect of this before we take a final vote on it. So thank you all for being here tonight. And I have, obviously, now that I live on Nation Road, and that, as I said, will probably be my forever home, I certainly want our neighborhood to be the quiet, nice place that it has been. And I thought it was that when I chose to buy a home there about 4 years ago. So thank you all again for being here with us. We do have a presentation tonight, and that is a proclamation recognizing Miss Erica Brown from the Burton Center. And if I can get my papers together here and find it, I will read that proclamation to you all. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bishop. So this proclamation recognizing the heroic service of Erica Brown. Whereas Erica Brown is employed with the Burton Center in Greenwood, South Carolina, as a direct support staff member and has served the Burton Center for 4 years. Whereas Ms. Brown is a trainer and driver transporter to and from the Burton Center. She trains individuals with disabilities on everyday life goals and making them productive members of society. Ms. Brown also has been trained as a medical technician. Whereas on Tuesday morning, July 1, 2025, Ms. Brown was driving a Burton Center bus near the CVS pharmacy at the intersection of Highway 72 and Highway 221 in Greenwood when she noticed smoke coming from the vehicle. She immediately stopped the bus and assisted all of the passengers to safety before the bus burst into flames, sending thick black smoke into the air. Because of her bravery and heroic actions, there were no injuries to her passengers or to herself. Whereas the Burton Center was created in 1971 to provide essential services to individuals with disabilities and special needs, and to offer much needed assistance to their families. Over the last 5 decades, they have been able to expand their offerings of services and widen the range of services. With locations in Abbeville, Edgefield, Greenwood, Lexington, McCormick, and Saluda counties, the Burton Center staff of 325 assist over 500 people. Their services are provided free of charge to those who meet the specific eligibility criteria by the South Carolina Department of Disabilities and Special Needs. So now therefore be it proclaimed, the Greenwood County Council does hereby extend their sincere appreciation and gratitude to Ms. Erica Brown for her strength and unwavering bravery as she serves the Burton Center. County Council thanks Ms. Brown and the Burton Center for all that they do for our Greenwood community and surrounding counties, and we wish them success and safety as they continue their journey to serve. This is presented on this 19th day of August by the Greenwood County Council. And Susan, I believe you have, is anyone here representing the Burton Center? Is Erica here?
Erica's here.
Erica, you're here? You need to come forward if you will, please, ma'am. Erica, thank you for being here. And thank you for apparently being a heroic bus driver. And maybe we need to get you in fire services. This is your proclamation, and we're going to take a photograph. Would you like to say it? You don't want to say it. So you're a quiet and humble bus driver. Tell me when you get that. Come on.
I need to go for Burton Center.
You sure do.
For our PR. She's a wonderful lady.
Awesome.
Excellent for you.
Thank you, Council.
Congratulations. Thank you for what you did.
Hey, thank you. Keep the video straight.
Yeah. Somebody needs to. Ms. McIntyre,
Yes, sir.
I thought that Mr. Skinner's going to give us information for information only, is that correct?
Yes, there is somebody here to make the presentation, and then they'll have action after that.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Presentation of the 2025 Greenwood County Watershed Study by Wolpert. And Mr. Riddle, Mr. James Riddle, and Molly Brown, are you all here to make that presentation? Yeah, come forward, please. Sorry, that wasn't in my other set of notes. That's okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Council. It's my pleasure to introduce to you James Riddle and Molly Brown, engineers with Wolpert. They've been working with us since February 2024 when we started project number 16 of the 2016 capital project sales tax. And they have been looking at flooding in parts of Greenwood County. They sent in the final report today, which y'all should have received in your email. They're going to present that report, and at the end of the report, if it pleases council, we'll have an action item. But I will turn it over to James and Molly and let them explain what they've been doing over the past year or so.
Well, thank you for having us here tonight. Miss Erica is a tough act to follow, but we'll do our best here. So thank you. We'll start with a project overview, kind of a purpose. As many of you probably are well aware, this flood study was funded by and large based on the impacts from Hurricane Joaquin back in 2015 as part of the capital project sales tax, as Josh said. Unfortunately, there's been several other larger events since then that have had some negative impacts in the community, not the least of which, of course, is Helene last year. But those bullets are the basic steps that we took in our flood study, and that is building a watershed model and trying to identify and verify flooding problems, looking for ways to try to improve them, to make things better. We looked at ordinances and policies that would have a positive impact moving forward as development continues. And then we had a task to look at potential funding to implement some of the alternatives that we had identified. So our focus was 4 different creeks that the county had identified as problems in the past. They're really in 2 different watersheds. The one on the west of downtown Greenwood is the Curtail Creek watershed where the Gatewood community is. And then 3 other creeks around the northern and eastern periphery of downtown that are within the overall Wilson Creek watershed. One of the first tasks that we did was we had a public meeting. This is always really vital for getting kind of firsthand accounts and observations of what people have experienced and trying to make sure that our model is basically mimicking what y'all have been kind of up against. So then fast forward many months, these are some depictions of the results of the study. So on the left, again, is the Curtail Creek watershed. On the right are the other creeks in the Wilson watershed. The colors there, that kind of weird shape, those are the watershed boundaries. So any rainfall that falls within that boundary ends up in those blue lines or those creeks. And where you see those different colors, that indicates culverts or pipes that are overflowing, oftentimes at roadways. So where we see the red dots, that is where we have flooding at a pretty frequent level, in this case in a 2-year storm. So that's the kind of things that we don't want to see is roadways that are at risk in those smaller events, and that's where we focus basically our alternatives analysis. So there's a lot of information here, but just at a very high level, we identified about 20 areas of concern, as we call it. We put them into 2 sort of priority levels or tiers. We have an upper tier and a lower, so a tier 1 and a tier 2. And then within that tier 1 category, there were 4 areas that we worked with the county and identified to try to dig deeper and try to identify solutions. So we have one example of those that's up here on the slide, and one of those areas is the Chinkopin Road and the Creek Road area, just to give you an example. So the process that we kind of went through is in each of these 4 areas, we sort of vetted different ways to try to improve conditions. And so these are the types of things we looked at. We looked at trying to reroute water around the lake to not enter it at all. We looked at lowering the water level in anticipation of storm events, which I understand is actually already happening with some of the local residents and the HOA. We looked at a variety of ways to improve capacity to get more water through the dam. And then we looked at actually raising Chinkopin Road for a public safety standpoint for safe passage. So that just kind of gives you a taste of the things that we looked at. And now I'm going to turn it over to Molly to talk about the individual projects that were selected.
Okay. So I'm going to take a few minutes to go through the 4 projects that were selected for further development. And the first one actually corresponds with the last slide that James was just going through, talking about lowering the lake levels at Lake Chinkopin and the Gatewood ponds before storm events. So as he said, we looked at many different alternatives, but the watershed committee decided that this would be a good cost-effective way to put in real-time monitoring equipment to measure rainfall and lake stage. It would send out alert notifications so that HOA representatives can go out and lower the lake levels before storm events, which James said is already happening at least at Lake Chinkopin. We did some cost estimates for different stations. One station was about $20,000 to $25,000. 3 stations being $60,000 to $75,000, with an annual operating cost of about $4,000 to $6,000 for those stations. And the photo on the right is showing a station at a lake in Greenwood County that we implemented. Greenville County. The second project that we looked at was addressing flooding concerns at Brookfield Drive in the Gatewood community. This road has overtopped several times and poses an emergency access risk for about 30 homes. So we looked at a multifaceted solution here that was first replacing the undersized culvert under Brookfield Drive, adding an emergency access road which would be put in prior to repairing that culvert, and then restoring about 1,600 feet of stream upstream of Brookfield Drive. And for this project, the county submitted an application to the South Carolina Rural Infrastructure Authority back in March. They were notified that they were not selected, but were planning to reapply in September for funding for this project. And the total project cost is $1.5 million. The third project that we looked at was Sample Branch, so 3 different road crossings along Sample Branch. We looked at them all together because of their close proximity, and they're all interconnected. So if you do something at one location, it affects the other. The 3 road crossings that we looked at on Sample Branch were Sample Road, Bypass 25, and Drive Branch Court, because of frequent overtopping and also posing risk to nearby homes and businesses. So we looked at 3 different solutions in this area. The first was expanding the culvert at Sample Road, which is the most downstream crossing, as well as buying out 510 Sample Road, which is in the floodplain along Sample Road. The county has actually reached out to that homeowner, and they have agreed to participate in a FEMA buyout program for that property. And that solution was about $1 to $1.5 million. And then the second alternative that we looked at there was everything in the first alternative, but adding additionally upsizing the Bypass 25 culvert. That is a major road, and so much more expensive, with a $3.5 to $4.5 million price tag on that project. And then the third solution that we looked at was separate, looking at Drive Branch Court, that furthest upstream crossing, just adding an emergency access road there, because even expanding the culverts at those downstream locations wasn't going to help those residents on Drive Branch Court. So we proposed adding an access road there, which would be $25,000 to $50,000. And the last project that we looked at was addressing flooding at the Fox Hollow Apartments, which are 19 townhomes that are in the FEMA mapped flood zone that have repeatedly been impacted by some major events, Hurricane Joaquin, Helene, and most recently some storms this spring and summer. So our proposed solution here was property buyouts, and the county has submitted a grant application to the South Carolina Emergency Management Division for FEMA funding, disaster mitigation funding from Hurricane Helene. That was submitted back in April of 25 and should be going to FEMA for consideration soon. And the total cost for that project is $3.28 million. This photo is just showing the properties of the Fox Hollow Apartments. And then the last thing that we did as a part of our study was a policy review that James alluded to earlier. We basically looked at the county's comprehensive plan and a lot of floodplain management and stormwater management ordinances, and as well as doing a benchmarking exercise to review the floodplain management and stormwater management programs in 5 neighboring counties. We looked at Anderson, Lawrence, Newberry, Abbeville, and Aiken, and the recommendations on the right are just 7 of those highest ranked recommendations that came out of this policy review. And as James said earlier, it's basically seeing what can be done to policy to improve the county's flood risk in the future. And that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Riddle. Thank you, Ms. Brown. Council, before they sit down, do you have any questions or comments you'd like to make?
Okay, I'll wait.
Pardon?
I'll wait.
Go ahead.
No, I'll wait. I was gonna let you ask a question. What I was gonna say, Mr. Chairman, is what I'd recommend when you're done asking questions is that you take this as information tonight,
Correct.
and then that would give you 2 weeks to review it, and then come back in 2 weeks and vote to adopt or not adopt, and then go from there. But for tonight's purposes, I would use your experts that you paid to be here
Correct.
to ask questions, and then in 2 weeks, decide whether you do or not want to adopt.
So we'll open up for any questions or comments now, council.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a couple just for clarity.
Yes,
Thank you for
Ms.
coming tonight. On project one, the Chinkopin area, could you put that maybe back up?
Yeah.
Because I've had some conversations with some residents in that area with concerns about, I know we talk about egress and road flooding and some of the other projects. So it was my understanding and talking with some residents that that road floods for them as well, that Chinkopin Road. Is that specifically addressed in this as far as what happens to the flooding in the egress? That there are also some homes that when that road flows, that it is not accessible as well. Has that been addressed? Did I?
Yeah, that was, and in fact, I'll go back one more slide to
Okay.
where I sort of highlighted the different things that were considered actually in that area. Chinkopin Road, our model shows it aligns with what you guys are seeing firsthand, and that is that it absolutely overtops, as does Creek Road. And so I would say that the different options, A, C, D, and E, were part of the reason for that was to try to reduce that frequency of overtopping and the amount of water that was overtopping. Many of those have a pretty hefty price tag. Those are some big time capital improvement projects. So those weren't among the four that we took all the way through to the finish. The one that did come out of this that quite frankly is sort of low hanging fruit was to try to lower the lake before storm events to create flood storage. That's not going to fix all the problems, but it is going to mute some of the impacts. But these other ones are all certainly within consideration, but they are going to require a lot more funding to implement.
Okay. So the proposal as it stands today is for lowering the lake before the storm event.
That's one of the four
Right.
amongst the community, yes ma'am.
Okay.
Any other questions, council? If not, thank you again. In connection with this, we do have action that needs to be taken. I think our Josh Skinner, our capital projects coordinator, will talk with us about the consideration of approval of the $6,078, which is a contract amendment with Woolpert on this same topic. Josh?
Right, thank you. At our last watershed committee meeting, we talked about these possible contract amendment. One, and Wolper provided us with a document, a price tag. Option one is to reapply for the RAA grant. We had a debrief with the Rural Infrastructure Authority after the first grant was not approved. She gave us some good ideas of how to reapply, and what James was saying was that when they applied for this grant with Spartanburg County, it took them 3 tries before they were approved. So part of that $6,000 would be for Wolpert to go through and rework that application and resubmit it. It would also include a virtual public meeting assistance for members of the community after this meeting, and after if the final report is approved, we'll go out and meet with the community, and Wolpert will virtually attend to help us out, help me out. And the final piece of the $6,000 would be to add the property at 510 Sample Road to the current FEMA buyout application. we received the signed forms from the property owner maybe a month ago after we'd already submitted the application. We reached out to SCEMD, asked if we could add it. They said, sure, just you have to rework all the numbers, and so that would be part of that 6,000 as well.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Council, having heard Josh's explanation, this will require a vote. So what is your pleasure?
Motion to accept the contract amendment.
Motion by Ms. Miller, second by Mr. Templeton. All in favor? And that is unanimous and so ordered. Thank you, Josh. Fortunately, tonight we have no old business to entertain, so we'll move immediately into a number of items of new business. First item A is a consideration of appointments to the Grievance Committee. County Manager Chapel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While we don't have any old business, have plenty of new business. The first item is Derek Oliver. We need to appoint 2 people to the grievance committee. Currently, Anita Baylor and Melvin Burlap are on there. Their terms have expired, and I'm proposing to you to replace them with Derek Oliver and Shirley White.
Council, having heard that, requires your vote. What's your pleasure?
Offer you a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Templeton, second by Ms. Miller. All in favor? Unanimous and so ordered. Thank you. Item B, consideration of the purchase of facilities management vehicle. Mr. Christian Longer from Facilities Management Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Council. Adhering to the Greenwood County procurement policy, any purchase made in the formal range on stated contract is to come forward to the county council for approval. So I have received quotes to purchase a new vehicle through the facilities management department. The low quote come from Allen J. Fleet Sales for $63,357.90. So I'm asking for your blessing to proceed with this purchase.
All right, council, having heard that again, requires our vote. Council, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Miller,
Second.
second by Mr. Allison. All in favor? Unanimous and so ordered. Thank you. Item C, the consideration of the agreement for assignment of option agreements by and between Vision Greenwood and Greenwood County. Mr. James Bateman, our Economic Development Director, will tell us about that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of council. Printed at your places is the latest version of the agreement for assignment of option agreement between Vision Greenwood and Greenwood County. This was distributed to you previously, but what is printed in front of you has 3 Scrivener's edits that have been corrected. And we wanted you to see that, and we're happy to point out those edits if you wish. We would ask for your approval of this assignment agreement and with the authorization for the county manager and the county attorney to make further non-material edits in the county's interest when it is done.
Council, we had an opportunity to talk about this earlier. It does require your vote. What's your pleasure?
I'll offer you a motion, Mr. Chairman.
second.
Motion by the Vice Chairman, second by Ms. Bishop. Before we vote on this, are there any comments or questions in regard to this? Because we've had a lot of discussion on this matter. No, hearing none, signify. That is unanimous and so ordered. Thank you. Item D, monthly update from our County Treasurer's Office, Ms. Stephanie Dorn.
Good evening, Chairman and Council. You should have a copy of the treasurer's report at your desk. I'm going to be brief because you have me for a little bit here. Right now, it looks like we're going to come close to breaking, if I call it breaking even, that's not really what terminology you use in government, but for our general fund for the fiscal 25 year, if you will recall, we budgeted to use $2.3 million of our fund balance. Part of that was for one-time capital and employee retention payments that we were using our FY24 surplus. And then part of that was using our prior fund balance to pay for renovations at the courthouse and airport annexation property. Fortunately, the renovation costs were about $679,000 less than we expected. And unfortunately, we've had a lot of vacancies, and those have resulted in about $975,000 less. So that's kind of where part of that non-use of the fund balance is coming from. But there's still some more work to be done, but we are rounding the corner of finishing posting transactions for fiscal year 25. The other thing, excuse me, on this that I want to point out to you all is that last week we were notified that FEMA had obligated just over $300,000 in a particular project related to our disaster response expenditures from Helene. These include salary, overtime, and benefits, in addition to equipment usage and some material costs. And this is from the immediate response that we had the day of and those few days after the storm. So we were real excited in the treasurer's office to receive that information. This was probably one of the more labor-intensive projects that we had because we had a lot of timesheets and a lot of information that had to be submitted. And so we were happy to get that information, and we should see those funds come in. We still have some other projects that we're working through. Some of the projects haven't been completed from a work standpoint, and so we can't receive funding until those are done. But we will continue to work through those. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about the treasurer's report. I would point out too that I've been in discussion with the chairman, county manager, and also talked to a couple of individual council members just sporadically. And beginning in September, we will go to quarterly reports from my office unless there's a pressing issue or there's a concern by anyone on council.
I'm going to comment on that if I may. We've had conversation about that change. My feeling on this was that sometimes Stephanie is just giving us, a new 30-day roundup. She's very busy. I want to be cognizant of her time and what in the meeting I had with Stephanie in this regard, what I said to her and the county manager was, if at any time that she believes there's a financial issue that needs to come before council, she can just call Susan and say, and put me on the agenda, and she'll be on the agenda. Very well? Good? So that's taken as information on any comments or questions. Thank you. Item E is consideration of the appointment to the vacant seats on the Accommodations Tax Committee. Stephanie, you gonna review that for us?
Yes, sir. As a reminder, excuse me, the county receives accommodations tax from the state, and that must be used for tourism-related expenditures. Your accommodations tax committee reviews the requests from different agencies in the community and makes those recommendations to county council based on the available funding. One of our previously appointed members, Kevin Prater, had asked to be removed from the committee because he was finding it difficult to attend the meetings. He made the recommendation for Stephen Harrington, who is the manager of Sports Break. You are certainly able to accept his recommendation or appoint someone else from the hospitality sector. Ned Baldwin, who is a lodging representative, and Lloyd Sarton, who is an at-large representative, are up for reappointments. So I'd ask that you would consider these. We intend to have a meeting on September the 8th to review the applications, so that we can bring that recommendation to you at the end of September.
Just two things, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Is that gonna be an open meeting like we?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that we'll have a chance then. And if so, I'll offer you a motion to accept those recommendations.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? And those appointments are so ordered. Thank you, Stephanie. Item F was a consideration of approval of CC&M Verkada to install security cameras at a recreation complex, but staff is not quite ready to make that presentation. So, Council, I'm going to ask if we can that we would hold on our discussion of this until our September 2nd meeting. Okay with everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Item G, Resolution 2025-14, considering the budget amendment for allocation from hospitality tax for signs at Greenwood County Recreational Complex and allocating capital asset funds for robotic mowers. Ms. Dorn.
Chairman and Council, in connection with the previous item of F, we actually amended this resolution, and that should be on your desk. And we have taken out the hospitality related to the sign. We'll bring that back to you at the next meeting along with the previous item of F. So I'm going to just talk about the robotic mowers. Previously in fiscal year '24, $15,000 was budgeted to purchase robotic mowers. It's relatively new technology, and unfortunately the vendor that was selected went out of business, so the process started over. It bled into fiscal year '25. The Parks and Rec director was continuing to look for mowers, having those demoed to work with the fields that we have. And then once a final decision was made, unfortunately, he was not able to make that purchase before the end of fiscal '25. And so those unallocated funds will become part of the capital asset fund balance. And so we're asking for you to reallocate those funds in the fiscal year '26 budget. Your Parks and Rec director is hanging out back there in the back, and he can answer any questions that you might have specifically about the mower's functionality or purpose.
Brad, come forward. And Brad, before you get up here, can my front lawn be a test site? Because I feel like I've been mowing grass about every 4 days out there on Nation Road.
They can have smaller versions. These are bigger boy versions, but they do have smaller versions of these.
I need the big boy version.
This mower is called a crest mower, and the mower we're asking for will cut to 4.5 acres if it runs 24/7. These are mowers we're going to cut 3 acres because we got to have time for people to play on the fields. So the 2 mowers will take care of the 5 fields in the middle hub on that one there. We demoed these for about a month in April, and we got it down to us cutting 3 times a week. Each field was getting cut, and the good thing about it, these weigh 34 pounds compared to the mowers weigh 1,600 pounds. And as you know, last week we got 10 inches of rain. We couldn't mow for a week, and then we could mow. We were baling hay out there because all the wonderful rain and fertilizer and sunlight. And so this will help that, make it more of a common cutting every time. It will cut in the rain. It will cut during sprinklers. It won't call in sick. They'll just cut on that one there. They do cut about an acre, about every 9 hours. And so it'll run for 80 minutes, charge 80 minutes, and then keep going that way as long as you have a schedule to run.
I'm curious, does it dock itself?
It does. It docks itself. When it's ready to go, there's a rain delay on it, so if it's raining, if it senses it'll stay home, or if it's cutting, it stays at home, you cut that off or on. I did run it in heavy storms, and it cut fine. We'll find holes in fields, it will get stuck, so that's a good thing. There shouldn't be any holes in the field anyway. Temporary fences, we had to play with that for a while because we have temporary fences go up, temporary go down, but we have no cut zones, that kind of stuff. We got all that figured out. So, I'm excited about it. I think it's the future. Staffing's hard to find, and so this is something we'll guarantee to be out there.
What's the lifespan of one of these?
The battery's 5 years, they say, but you can buy new motors for it, batteries for it. They're gear driven on each wheel, and so you can replace those also. On that one there. They're basically a big Zuma. They're 1.5 foot wide, 2 feet long, and so they're pretty neat. They really are. They're kind of fun.
Well, to your comment about holes on the field, it's far better a mower stuck than it could break his ankle.
Correct, 100%.
So I had every intention of going out with the county manager and watching those things operate, and I'm still gonna do it one day. But thank you for giving us that information. Council, any other comments or questions? If not, I'll ask you, what is your pleasure?
I'll give a motion to approve.
A motion from Mr. Templeton, a second by Ms. Griffin. All in favor? As unanimous and so ordered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item H, Resolution 2025-15, endorsing the expenditure of county funds as required for match in the Community Development Block Grant for improvements to the county-owned Department of Public Health building. Ms. Dorn.
Thank you, Chairman.
The Department of Public Health, which most of us call the Health Department, is housed in the county-owned building, and this building is in need of significant renovations. Due to the population that is served in that building, renovations are eligible for a community development block grant. Because of the amount of work that is needed, Upper Savannah intends to apply on our behalf for a grant this year and next year, both up to $1 million each. Because currently the estimate is somewhere close to $2 million of work that needs to be done. This year's grant, right now we intend to include replacement of the heat and cooling duct work, updates to the restrooms, transitions to LED lights, installation of drop ceiling tiles, improvements to the parking lot to include repaving and exterior paint. The resolution before you, which again, we have an amended one in front of you, because we realized we were gonna have to split this into 2 phases because of the cap on the CDBG grant. And so the resolution in front of you is to approve the 10% match and any cost over the grant that is received. We expect the county's share to be roughly $150,000. Right now, the special appropriation fund, I know, will have at least a $200,000 surplus in fiscal year '25, and so I'm recommending that you fund the match with $150,000, or fund the match, which will probably be around $150,000 from your special appropriation fund. Brittany Hallman with Upper Savannah was here earlier, but she had to leave. But I think it's Christian still. Yeah, Christian's still here. He's been working with Brittany on the work, and so he could probably answer any questions you have as well.
Council, did anything from Christian? Do you have any questions or comments before we vote? Entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Ms. Bishop,
Second.
second by Ms. Griffin, all in favor. And I'll say for the benefit of the public, Stephanie, before you sit down, you know, we talked about the fact that these community development block grants in bringing up our facilities is a great deal for the county because our match monies are relatively small percentage of total cost. So thank you for working so hard on this. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Item I, Resolution 2025-16, endorsing the expenditure of county funds as a required match for a hazard mitigation assistance grant for the update of the county hazard mitigation plan. Ms. Dorn.
Greenwood County is required to update our hazard mitigation plan every 5 years in order to remain eligible for federal mitigation funding. Our last plan was adopted June 23rd, 2022, and must be updated by June 28th of 2027. It can take up to a year to update the plan, and in addition to that, of course, it's got to be funded. Your emergency management director, who is there in the back, Mr. Cribben, intends to apply for a grant through the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. This grant requires a 25% match, and based on some estimates he's received from a couple of companies that do this work, we believe that the county share would be up to $22,500. As I stated with the previous resolution, the special appropriation fund will have at least a $200,000 surplus, and I recommend that you fund this match from those funds. And again, Mr. Cribben is here if you have any specific questions related to the hazard mitigation plan.
Robert, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Now notice I'm always ready and everybody.
Yeah, you've been up here quite a while. Do you need to have James bring you a chair? Because you're going to be here for a little while.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Just so you know, this isn't just for the county of Greenwood. This is also for Troy, 96, Ware Shoals, Hodges, so it includes everybody. Excuse me, and it'll take about a year to write probably, because we have to set up a committee, we have to have meetings, and then it has to come to the public for an open meeting, and then it has to be approved by the county council, then it has to go to the state to get approved by the state before it can even go to FEMA to be approved by FEMA. So that's why it takes about a year to do, and it's very intensive, and we bring out the vulnerabilities for the whole county.
Thank you, Robert. A lot of hard work, but necessary work. Council, having heard the explanations and descriptions, any comments or questions?
I make a motion to approve, Mr.
Second.
Chairman.
A motion by Ms. Bishop, second by Mr. Templeton, all in favor? That's unanimous and so ordered. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Ms. Dorn again, Resolution 2517, considering the approval of transferring funds for the reforestation of portions of the Greenwood County Airport property.
The airport has long used the sale of timber from the property out there as a source of revenue to aid in capital improvements. And a couple of years, I think about 2 years ago, we had a sale of timber, and now it's time to reforest that land in order so that we can sell the timber again one day. And so that cost to do that is $27,000 with our forestry company. And we are asking that you transfer $27,000 from the airport improvement fund to the airport operations fund. We basically keep those separate. At the end of each year, any surplus in the operations fund goes into that improvement fund, and then we just use it as needed. So we're asking for you to transfer that. Your county engineer is here. He is over the airport if you have any specific questions related to the work.
I'll offer you a motion to
I
approve the
second.
transfer.
I have a motion and a second before vote. Rhett, do you have anything you want to add to this? She did a great job. I think so, too. Thank you. Council, all in favor? That's unanimous and so ordered. Thank you.
This is the last one,
It is.
so enjoy it.
Was the last one for you. Item K, Resolution 2025-18, amending the fiscal year 26 budget to transfer funds from the general fund to complete the South Carolina Department of Commerce Palmetto Sites Program at the 96 Business Park.
On May 12th, 2023, the South Carolina Department of Commerce awarded an $89,500 grant to Greenwood County to complete the due diligence study and other related items so that the 96 Business Park could be included in the Palmetto Sites Program. The cost was more than anticipated, and additional funds of $22,850 were awarded by the Department of Commerce, but a match of $9,150 is required. The economic development budget has some funds in their marketing line item to cover the match, and so I'm requesting approval to transfer those funds from the general fund to the economic development grant fund so that we can complete the study.
I'll offer you a motion to approve since it's in 96.
I second.
I could have predicted that. Have a motion by the Vice Chairman, second by Ms. Bishop. All in favor is presented. That's unanimous and so ordered. Thank you. Item L, Resolution 2025-19 for engagement of UPF Litigators LLC and Bacoa and Paget LLC under written representation agreements for ultra-processed food litigation, and to authorize the county manager to execute that agreement. Mr. Chappell.
I believe that's,
I'm sorry. The county attorney, Ms. Penny. That's what I get when I don't look down at my notes.
So you have heard from the UPF litigators, folks, Pat and I, and Tripp is here too, I think for a different matter. But you've heard from them in executive session, you've heard from them at the public meeting. This document is both a resolution and an engagement letter that sets forth the terms of their representation if you choose to engage in this litigation.
Council, having heard from the county attorney, we've had additional discussion on this. Are there any comments or questions before we vote?
I have a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate everybody's hard work on this, and I know that when the presentation was made previously, a couple of weeks ago, it was brought to our attention that exceptions could be made. I believe that was the terminology that was used. And just to be very transparent, which is how I operate, I find concern with that we can make exceptions to maybe a business that's in our county, that's an economic development engine for us, but we could enlist other people to be in this lawsuit per se. So I just want to make that comment as for public record.
Mr. Paget, I'm going to give you opportunity to comment if you care to.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council. In any lawsuit, the person bringing it has an opportunity to choose who they think the wrongdoer is. So it's not someone else telling you who the wrongdoer is, it's, you have a chance to vet that and say, we don't believe this person or this entity is. So it's this, the word exception may be used, but it's really reinforcing that you have the authority to choose who's on the caption, as you're the master of the complaint.
Thank you, Tripp. All right, council, you've heard explanations, heard questions, we've had conversations. Resolution 2025-19, what is your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Allison, second by Ms. Bishop. All in favor is presented. That's unanimous.
No, it's
No,
not.
excuse me.
No, it's not.
Excuse me. Let me see those hands again. 4 in favor, opposition, 3, and that passes on a 4-3 vote. Item M, ordinance 2025-22 to amend the Greenwood County zoning map as and if amended, so that one parcel of land totaling approximately 40.69 acres at 410 Little Mountain Road, Greenwood County, South Carolina, changes from Ag 1 agricultural to R3 single family residential. Ms. Carol Coleman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a piece of property right off of Little Mountain Road. It actually touches Little Mountain Road in 2 places. Not far off of Main Street in 96. Current zoning was AG1, which allows residential. Proposed zoning was R3, which is also residential. The developer has worked up 2 plans. One will work under the AG1, which allows them with sewer to go as small as 7,500 square foot lots. The R3 also allows 7,500 square foot lots, so either way they can make the project work.
What was the recommendation?
Planning Commission recommended approval as did staff.
We're not voting on
No, but I did want to make a comment, because next is public session on this. This is in 96, and basically you got 2 options. You stay with AG2 and he can do up to 118 lots, or you go to R3 and they can do 139 lots. I thought the zoning folks asked some really good questions, and since we'll have public hearing at the next meeting, there were a couple of those questions I'd like to hear answered by the developer, but also maybe have Steve Holmes take a look, because there was only 1 entrance. That's a concern of mine right there. It's in 96, and as much as I'd like to see development there, and it's real close to the town limits, which is also something that should be considered. I think it's like 0.2 miles from there, which would also be a help to the town. But
I have spoken with the town, and they are looking at the possibility of annexation.
and I know they can get sewers, just, that area is a concern. Those are my comments,
Any
Mr.
other
Chairman.
comments or questions, council? This first reading in title only, so it requires no vote. Item N, ordinance 2025-23 to amend the Greenwood County zoning map as and if amended, so that one parcel of land totaling approximately 195.45 acres located on Old Nation Road, Greenwood County, changes from FA Forest Agriculture to PDD, a planned development district. Ms. Cole.
Mr. Chairman, yes, this you saw before as a request to go from AG1 to, or AG3 to FA. That was voted through. After the fact, the developer or the buyer was concerned that every use that was included in their plan would not be included under the FA scheme. So we had some discussions, and they decided to come back and request a planned development district where they would outline every single use that they proposed to have in there clearly and define it as such. It's the same parcel, has the same everything about it. If you have any specific questions, I can address it. It goes back to Planning Commission a week from tonight.
So, because of the change, because of the change, the request of the change, that's why it goes back to.
Right, well, it's actually a new request.
Okay.
The FA went all the way through. This is a change from FA now to PDD.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Mr. Allison.
For my information, my understanding is the way it's zoned now, the purchaser could pretty much do what they're already wanting to do in the PDD. the PDD would actually give us a little more control as to buffers and where this will be located versus the other. So the way it is zoned right now, the purchaser could pretty much do everything pretty close to what they can do now. Is that correct?
It is, I would say it's almost absolutely correct. We can have discussions on this as a planner. There are uses that are pyramidal in nature. There are uses that are allowed under FA, and some of the things they want to do are less intense than what's allowed in the FA. There are uses that aren't specifically identified, but they're close enough to the uses that are listed under the FA that we can accommodate it. FA accommodated one of the things they were interested in, which is to allow RVs to camp on site. That is specifically allowed under FA. It's the only place in the zoning ordinance that's even mentioned.
And they can do that now.
Right, under the FA.
The way it's, right.
So this would give us parameters and limitations and create acreages that were set aside and where they would be located, and even create a master plan that we wouldn't have under straight zoning.
Thank you.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So this has changed. What they came and said that they were gonna do in the beginning has now changed. Is that the case?
I wouldn't characterize it that way.
No.
Okay.
I think what they have done is essentially stayed the same. I think there's been some concern that FA does not enunciate clearly enough that they are approved to do what they want to do. They would rather have the assurance of a PDD so that it is extremely clear. So I would say what they're asking to do has not changed. I think that they would like more clarity in a PDD than the FA gives them, is how I would characterize it. I would characterize it as their actions have changed as much as they would like more assurance to the PDD.
And if I may, I want to say that the utilization of PDD, my belief is better protects everyone. It protects the land purchaser for the development that they want to create. It protects the neighbors, and it protects the county, and that we know exactly what the plans are. And I'm going to say, for my neighbors on Nation Road, Ms. Shimshon is sitting in the back in the audience tonight, and I believe that, that's Renee sitting right back there, if y'all don't know her. I believe there's some, from just the communications I've had in the last 48 hours, I think there are some assumptions or some maybe rumors of some things in regard to what Ms. Shimshon really intends to do that might be good conversation for y'all to get together and have. I can't make it, but I think that might be valuable conversation, so I'll just offer that. Council, any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I think that when this comes at second reading, they will have a plan developed. Actually, we'll be able to see what you're saying.
We will, we're refining it at the moment. We'll have a master plan identifying acreages and that type of thing.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I would piggyback what Mr. Allison said. I think before everybody gets too spun up about this thing, you may want to actually see the PDD, because it will outline what is agreed about. So I think before everyone gets kind of themselves bound up, maybe wait and actually read the PDD before you get yourself too out of control.
And of course, as I think you all know, on the second reading, we'll hold a public hearing. Opportunity for anyone, both pros and cons, to make any comments that they care to make. So again, first reading in title only. If there are no more questions, comments, council?
There will be a public hearing at the Planning Commission on Tuesday as well.
Thank you, Carol. That concludes our new business. We have no pending items that I'm aware of. Susan, I'm correct, right? No pending items. So we will now move into district reports. County manager?
If we could, it's actually not a pending item, but more of a clarification.
Okay.
We would like to clarify, when y'all approved the minutes, was the motion to include the July 15th and the special call meeting, or was it only the July 15th? Because we're unclear on what your motion was.
I only referenced the last council meeting.
He only referenced the 15th minutes.
Okay, then there's a second set on July 28th, if I get council to approve those.
Okay. So council, then I need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve.
Second.
special. Motion by Ms. Miller, second by Mr. Templeton for the approval of our special call meeting. All in favor of that, please. That's unanimous and so ordered. Thank you, Manager. District reports. Ms. Griffin, District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just like to say, thank you to those individuals that were here to help us recognize Erica for her heroic on July 1. She is she lives in District 1, so we just want to say thank you to each and every one of those that was here to have recognized her. And also would just like to ask you all to add to your calendar on September the 13th, the Promised Land community will be celebrating a fun day starting at 10 a.m. And you all are all welcome to come, and they're planning a parade and just fun all day, fun food, fellowship, and everything else as well in District 1. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am. District 2, Mr. Allison.
Always been a district true, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Good to hear, Mr. Allison. District 3, Ms. Bishop.
Thank everybody for coming. Have a good evening. That is my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am. District 4, Ms. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was privileged to be invited to speak to the residents at Devon Park. They invited me in for a town hall meeting, so I was able to give them updates and answer a lot of questions that they've had, and hopefully resolve some of the concerns that they had on a few issues. My District 4 litter pickup went well, a little less participation than I had hoped for that day, but it was about 105 heat index, so I completely understand that. I don't want July next year, so I'll let Ms. Amber know that. The SCAT conference that you all know that we attended, it was very beneficial to me, and I want to personally congratulate Ms. Bishop, Ms. Griffin, and Mr. Pruitt for attaining their level 1 and level 2 certifications, which is a very commendable act for county council officials across the state, so congratulations to all of you all. And I think that the capital project sales tax at Piedmont Tech went very well. It's a kickoff meeting. Councilman Templeton and Chairman Lane did an exceptional job of covering that, along with the president of Piedmont Tech, Hope River. She's a phenomenal leader in the community, so I think we're off to a good start with that list of projects for Greenwood County. Yeah, thank you very much.
District 5, Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ms. Miller, for the recognition. I was going to say, same thing, attended the SCAT conference. I always enjoy attending it as well. Without the pushing from Ms. Susan over there, I wouldn't have my level 2 and competition with Ms. Bishop. But I do have my level 2 certification. There's a picture to prove it, yeah. I think it's great that we get to converse with our peers in other counties, and the continuing education that we get at these conferences is great. Attended the Town of 96 council meeting last night, and you know, we get calls all the time to assist constituents with stuff, and the first time in my 4 or so years I've been on council, I actually got a card from the constituent. Of course, he was from 96, you know, we raised correctly there, and I just thought that was a nice gesture. But having said that, you know, I always told my players when I coached that as well as I can complain, I can compliment. So I kind of called out some people about a month ago, and it paid dividends, and I'm appreciative that I'm thankful and grateful. My trash pickup had 11 volunteers. 11 volunteers. Amber, myself, Councilwoman Bridget Porter, Patient Curtis, who also works part-time at the town, Miss Beverly Brown, brought her granddaughter Josie. Our county manager, Toby Chappell, showed up with Miss Annabelle. That was awesome to see. Mayor Greg Brown and his wife Jimmy, and then one of my special students in the back, Jay Gilchrist, came. Thank you, Jay, for showing up. A lot of fun was had by all. It was extremely hot. It was very hot. But it is what it is. So I think we got close to 20 bags of trash, and again, appreciate it. But I also want to say thank you to you guys sitting at the table. You know, Susan, for your pushing all the time. Toby, thanks for not only coming out for that, but we call on you guys a lot for our help. And I call on Miss Penny a lot for legal advice or legal questions. I just want to say thanks. So I want to end my report with a Bible verse. 2 Corinthians 9:15 says, "Thanks be to God for his indescribable gift." That ends my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Pruitt. Mr. Templeton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This may surprise each and every one of you, but I'm going to be brief tonight. I just wanted to say it was an honor to be able to speak at Piedmont Tech last week in the kickoff to the capital project sales tax campaign. That is, you know how I feel about 2016 and 2024. It's the gift that keeps on giving for all of our communities, and I appreciate it so much. And that is my report.
Thank you, Mr. Templeton. I'll be brief as well. I had a great honor that I thought bestowed upon me when we went to the SCAT conference. Sometime prior to the conference, I was nominated to serve on the statewide board for the South Carolina Association of Counties. And the manager told me that we had been trying to accomplish that and get someone from Greenwood County on that board, but not for me. I mean, what I'm most proud of is now that by having a seat on that board, it gives us the opportunity to have a voice in helping to shape policy and decisions that made in regard to county government statewide. So I was quite honored by that. I've always liked that Councilman Pruitt ends his report with a Bible verse, and I got to thinking, actually back a few months ago, I've got a friend who's an elderly lady that lives in New Orleans, Louisiana, and every day, every morning, I think she thinks I need encouragement. She sends me something in a text message, and it's things like this. And her name is Miss Sheila, and so I'm gonna start giving you all probably at the end of every meeting Miss Sheila's one of Miss Sheila's thoughts. So what she sent me this morning said, "It doesn't matter how old you are or where you come from. Manners, kindness, respect, and compassion will always be the sign that you are a decent human being." I think I agree with that. If there are no other matters for us, Mr. Manager, anything? Madam Attorney?
Actually, since the last time we were together, James and I have been fortunate enough to have Miss Allison Scott join us. I don't know.
You sure have.
She doesn't know that I'm going to do this, but I'm so pleased that she's here. I think that James is also pleased that she's here. I don't want to speak for him, but we're so happy she's here. She's already helped a lot. She helped get you guys ready today. You didn't even know it. So welcome, Allison, and we're really glad she's here. And thank y'all for supporting us in getting her here.
And thank you for mentioning that. And Allison, thank you, because we need all the help we can get, I assure you. Ms. Susan, anything for the good of the order?
No.
If not, we'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is about to say,